How you going? I'm Ryan, this is Ryan's Music Talk, and today I'm going to be ranking the 9 studio albums of pop-punk icons, Blink-182. Now, originally I wanted to do this a while ago when the new album, One More Time, first came out, but I've been pretty busy. I got married a couple of weeks ago, I'm starting a new job next week, so I haven't really had the time, but I found the time today, and now we're doing it. Just before we get started, I'll go over my structure. I'll go through the albums in chronological order and tell you where they fit in my ranking, and then at the end I'll give a recap of the ranking right through, and I'll give my top 10 songs as well. So with that said, let's get into it. Alright, so first up was Cheshire Cat, released in February 1995, and this was actually released under the name of Blink before they changed to Blink-182. But the lineup at that time was Mark Hoppus, Tom DeLonge and Scott Rayner. This is my number 7. It's mostly more of a skate punk sound instead of pop punk, which isn't a bad thing. It's not as well refined as some of their other albums, obviously. And both of the vocalists are pretty undeveloped at this point. I think Mark particularly was quite bad on this album. It's still a really fun listen though. Carousel is a really catchy and fun song. Eminem's Does My Breath Smell and Wasting Time are some of my other favourites on here. I also really love the track Cacophony. It's more of a pop-punk song with a lot of late 80s, early 90s emo sound to it. It's really cool. Also being ranked this low, it obviously has some not-so-great songs on it, like Touchdown Boy, Strings and TV. Not really a fan of any of those. But yeah, like I said, it is a fun listen. It does get less serious and more joke song towards the end, which isn't a bad thing, but I feel like the jokes could have probably been spread through it a bit more than they were. Right, next up we've got Dude Ranch. This was released in June 1997, and this is the first album under the name Blink-182, after another group that was called Blink caught wind of them, threatened legal action or whatever, so they picked a random number throwing in the name basically. This is my number 5. It's got a similar sound to Cheshire Cat, but this is just fucking heaps better. The songs are better, the album's more consistent, the high points are higher, there's not as many low points, both vocalists have improved fucking massively. It's a really big step up, this is. There's a lot of fun on this album, really. Damn It is an absolute fucking banger, with that riff, it's just so fucking catchy. Pathetic, Josie, Degenerate, all good, fun songs. As is A New Hope, as in a kind of cheesy kind of way, but again, really fun. Apple Shampoo and Enthused are a couple of my favourites off here. All in all, this is a really good album. Right, next up is Enema of the State, released in June 1999. This is the first album to feature Travis Barker on drums after Scott Rayner was fired. This is my number 1. It's a fucking, just a straight up fucking banger. No skips at all on this album. It's much more of a pop punk sound. There's still some of the skate punk there though. But yeah, just great fun sing along songs like Aliens Exist, What's My Age Again, All the Small Things, Dumpweed, Dysentery Gary and Anthem are just legit fucking bangers. There's also like some really catchy deeper cuts like Going Away to College, the party song Wendy Clear, and can't forget the pop punk emo classic Adam song. Alright, next up we've got Take Off Your Pants and Jacket. That was released in June 2001, and that's my number 3. The skate punk sound's pretty much all gone by now. It's really more just a straight pop punk album, but with a much more darker and serious tone across most of the album than previously. There are some notable exceptions to that though. First Date is just fucking good, catchy fun. Happy Holidays You Bastards, just like a short, funny joke song, but it's really good. And The Rock Show is just an absolute fucking banger. This album also, it opens up with Anthem Part 2, following on from Enema of the State closing with Anthem. And this is another banger, just like Part 1, but this is even fucking better. Absolutely fucking love that song. Give Me One Good Reason and Stay Together for the Kids are two more real standout highlights on this album for me. The first half of this is, I think, a lot stronger than the second half, but it's still a really, really good album right the way through. Right, next up we've got either the self-titled album or the untitled album, depends on which way you look at it, I suppose. It's released in November 2003. This is my number 2. It's a very different sound on this album for them. It's much more emo, alternative rock compared to pop punk, I think. And the vibe's gotten even more darker and serious than the previous album had. It's also their most ambitious and mature album, incorporating a whole range of different sounds and genres amongst it. Feeling This and Here's Your Letter are probably the only real straight pop punk songs on the album, but even they don't sound like Blink pop punk from previously. It's great songs, especially Feeling This, absolute fucking classic. But then you've got other stuff like the emo acoustic classic I Miss You. Violence is a very interesting song. It's got its weird stripped back spoken word verses and with just a pretty much straight pop punk chorus. It works really well, actually. It's a great song. There's Stockholm Syndrome, which is basically post-hardcore, and it's fucking magnificent. I absolutely love that song. Always is like alt rock, new wave sort of sound. It's very different. All different shit all over this album. Another good example is All of This. Basically a post-punk song, bit alternative rock, featuring Robert Smith of The Cure. It's really, really cool. Next up we have Neighbourhoods. This was released in September 2011. There's an 8-year gap between albums because they broke up in 2005 before reuniting again in 2009. This is ranked 8th for me. This is pretty disappointing as a comeback album, really. This is more of a alternative rock album, really. It's not bad, but it's kind of boring, and it never gets near the heights of anything they've done prior to this. And I don't like Tom's vocals on most of the songs on this album either. There is some highlights though. Heart's All Gone is a bit of a skate punk, pop punk throwback sound, but it's just not as fun as the stuff it's thrown back to. Wishing Well is like pop punk, alternative rock, sort of sounds like a blend of things from the previous 2 albums before this. Ghost on the Dance Floor and After Midnight are also pretty decent songs, I think. But I'm not a big fan at all of the sort of new wave songs on here. This Is Home and Love Is Dangerous. Alright, next we've got California, released in July 2016. Tom DeLonge is out of the band. Matt Skiba from Alkaline Trio is in. And this is my number 6. To be honest, I've never really given this album much of a chance before, but it is so much better than I expected it to be. It's back to a more pop-punk sound, closer to their earlier style. Bored to Death is a straight pop-punk song, much more fun than the title suggests it would be. She's Out of Her Mind is another really fun, catchy track. Home Is Such a Lonely Place is a really nice, soft rock, almost folky kind of track. I really enjoy that one. Rabbit Hole is just a legit fucking banger. It's by no means a perfect album. The more alternative rock sort of songs like Los Angeles and California I'm not a fan of them at all. And I also find that Matt's voice at times can sound way too similar to Mark's. Alright, next up we've got 9, released in September 2019. And this is ranked number 9. This is easily their worst album. It's a pop-punk, alternative rock sort of album, but it's just really boring for the most part. Dark Side is a pretty fun, catchy song. Runaway's decent as well, but not as catchy. On Some Emo Shit, it's a reasonably good emo song. But other than that, I don't really have much to say about this. It's pretty forgettable, really. Alright, and that brings us to One More Time, released in October 2023. Tom DeLonge is back in the band, Matt Skiba's gone, and this is my number 4. They're back to pretty much straight pop punk for the most part. Anthem Part 3 is a great opener, continues on the Anthem trilogy really well. Dance With Me is an absolute fucking banger. Probably the most punk they've sounded in over 20 years. I absolutely fucking adore that song. Terrified and More Than You Know are good, fun, pop-punk, alt-rock tracks that give off vibes of the Untitled album, actually. As does One More Time, but in an acoustic emo pop-punk way. Edging is just good, fun, pop-punk, real classic Blink sort of stuff. A couple other highlights would be Blink Wave, where they really go full new wave, and it works on this track, it's great. And Turpentine is a fucking banger as well. Alright, so we'll go back through my album ranking, and then I'll give my top 10 songs. So number 9, I've got 9. Number 8 is Neighbourhoods. Number 7 is Cheshire Cat. Number 6 is California. Number 5 is Dude Ranch. Number 4 is One More Time. Number 3 is Take Off Your Pants and Jacket. Number 2 is Untitled, self-titled. And number 1 is Enema of the State. Right. So my top 10 songs, I've got, in 10th place, I've got One More Time off One More Time. In 9th, I've got First Date off Take Off Your Pants and Jacket. Number 8, I've got Adam's Song off Enema of the State. Number 7, I've got What's My Age Again off Enema of the State. Number 6, I've got Damn It off Dude Ranch. Number 5, I've got Dysentery Gary off Enema of the State. Number 4, I've got Stockholm Syndrome off Untitled. Number 3, I've got Anthem Part 2 off Take Off Your Pants and Jacket. At number 2, I've got Dance With Me off One More Time. And at number 1, I've got The Rock Show off Take Off Your Pants and Jacket. Right, so that's my list. Hope you've enjoyed this. If you have, please like and subscribe. Leave a comment, give me your ranking, or just tell me your favourite Blink album, your favourite song. Yeah, I'd love to read it. Yeah, I think that's all. So I'll see you next time.